People of Earth, Conan O'Brien will not be pushed around. In an open letter to the public, Conan told NBC he won't go where they tell him to go. Perhaps he'll tell them to go somewhere else. Sarah Palin makes her debut working for Fox News. Whether you think she's fair or balanced, does it help her presidential run? And how long will she last? If you've heard it, you love it. Why not have a choir sing the weather? Stick around for the sweet sounds of the Filter Forecast. Hello again on the Filter Forefront, our top four, and maybe legalizing pot isn't such a good idea, but we'll begin with this. If I said to you, police in Los Angeles have the right to pull anybody over at any time based on how they look, you'd say to me that's racial profiling. And in the minds of Americans, that's okay if it happens in the airport. According to a USA Today poll, 71% of Americans favor more intense security checks of people who fit the profile of terrorists based on age, ethnicity, or gender. Our contributors tonight joining us via Skype, actress and activist Debra Skelton and Doctor of Social Ethics, Charlotte Laws. And Charlotte, I'll start with you. Racial profiling at the airport, you're on the clock. Is it a good idea?
I think it is. I think that the ramifications are so serious if a plane blows up that I think it is acceptable to do it. If I was a Muslim, I wouldn't want the last thought I had on a plane before it blew up to be, gee, I wish they'd done some profiling. And also, it's such a hassle now. Because of Mr. Sparky Pants on Christmas Day, we have all these hoops to jump through. We have to get to the airport early. And now we have these body scanners, which not only invade you personally, but also they can cause cancer, is what I've read.
Let me stop you right there, because you talk about the body scanners, but better you go through the body scanner, right, and make sure everybody's safe than not go through it, right?
You know what? I'm not sure. I'd rather not fly. 27% of people say they think it's too much hassle to fly now, and they'd rather not fly at all. But the other thing they lack at the airports with security is common sense. We have a terrorist watch list now that reportedly is at like 500,000 people. Some of the people that have been on this list not too long ago, Nelson Mandela, Senator Ted Kennedy, Loretta Sanchez, the congresswoman. You have Joan Rivers, a 76-year-old Jewish woman who they deny entry onto a plane. You have 89 children on the no-fly list. 14 of them are under the age of 2. Baby terrorists, that's what they're worried about. I just think the common sense is gone, and I think that's how the American people feel.
All right, Deborah, about 40 seconds. What do you think about racial profiling?
Charlotte, when it comes to common sense, I think you're right. But I think that racial profiling is not really the answer. I think it's overcompensation, in fact, for incompetence at airports. In fact, there are a couple of East Coast airports where their closed-circuit television did not work, number one. Number two, in Israel, the reason that they are much more aware of that, because obviously they've had hundreds and hundreds of years of holy war, is that they check their bags in prior to going into the airport. You're not allowed to carry a bag in. They're so aware of bags being left, and it really has to do with incompetence. On Christmas Day, people knew. The father of this Muslim gentleman from Nigeria knew. He was also on a list that had him red flagged. It's incompetence, and therefore racial profiling tends to be overcompensation for incompetence at most airports these days when it comes to security.
All right, both of you make good points there. Let's move on to our next topic. Yesterday we asked a question. Would you vote to legalize marijuana? We also told you that pot sales would generate $1.3 billion in tax revenue. Public Safety Committee voted to approve the bill proposed by Tom Amiano of San Francisco. That's just one step. There's a long, long way to go and a lot of critics. The former president of the California Narcotics Officers Association said it would lead to an increase in crime. Another assemblyman said the tax dollars are not worth the grief caused by legalization. The bill proposes that users be at least 21 years of age. Aren't these concerns warranted? Does the end justify the means, Deborah?
No, they're not warranted, because kids can go in and still use false IDs to get alcohol. Okay? They can go in and get cigarettes. It's been known. Now, it's not as if we can turn around and say, look, we can actually prove that marijuana causes to other drugs. What leads to other drugs is people's irresponsibility. There are enough dispensaries around that we are moving towards legalizing it anyway, if you think about it. Now, I am a non-smoker. I do not smoke pot, but I don't see the harm if people say, look, it's non-addictive. I've been smoking it for a while. It mellows you out. There are many different strains. There are many different types of cannabis available for those in need and those who just want. Why not? Cigarettes is cancer-causing.
Deb, let me ask you something. You said you're not a smoker, right?
No, I'm not.
You know an awful lot about that.
Well, you know what? Because this is an issue that's important to me, because as a non-smoker, it really is important to talk about people's rights, to also be a part of people's rights and fairness. I'm also a non-smoker when it comes to cigarettes as well, but there are certain rules that I feel are unfair when smokers can smoke outside of cafes. And I'm just trying to be fair to everyone and try to be impartial on both sides of the issue and really look at it. Cannabis it is not one of those things that is addictive. If you have an addictive personality, of course you're going to get addicted to many drugs. We're a over-the-counter generation. And let me tell you something. If anything should be illegal, half the crap they put on television commercials about all the drugs that fix your problems, that's the biggest issue more than anything else.
All right, Charlotte, you got 25 seconds. Don't go over. What do you think?
It's not going to increase crime. In fact, it's probably going to bring crime down. But last night at my neighborhood council meeting, we actually asked the police officer, the head police officer for our area, if the medical marijuana businesses had increased crime. And she seemed like she wanted to say yes, but she said, I really have to be honest and say no. What it's going to do is we're going to be able to tax it. We're going to be able to probably bring in $1.3 billion in revenues and help our economy and increase jobs. I am 100% for it. I've never tried pot in my life. I've never tried a cigarette in my life. But I totally support legalization.
Yes, but have you ever tried pot stickers?
All right.
What is that?
All right. It's a wonderful food to eat. All right, let's move on.